In a tumultuous White House, he holds a record. In the summer of 2017, Anthony Scaramucci served as communications director for just 11 days. Today, the hedge fund founder is back in finance, still a media fixture, and says he's still friends with the president. He's also the author of a new book about their relationship, Trump, the Blue-Collar President. Anthony Scaramucci, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Can I call you Mooch? That's what everybody just calls you, the Mooch.
You can call me Mooch.
Yeah?
Nobody calls me Tony for some reason, but you can call me Tony if you want. It's fine.
Let's talk about your book. It's called The Blue-Collar President, and it partly tells your story, which is a true blue-collar upbringing. You went to college, you went to Harvard Law, but you really brought yourself up. How do you call the president a blue-collar president? In what way, since he definitely did not have the same upbringing you did?
No, he has like a golden toilet and stuff like that.
Yeah, he had the silver spoon.
Yeah, it's great, but I sort of wanted to call it that because of the relationship that he has with blue-collar people. And so when you think about my family, you know, my brother and I went to college, but most of my cousins, frankly, of my generation did not go to college. Yeah. And they all love the guy. And so why did they all vote for him? Why do you think that?
Why did they? Because he's not of them. You know, he got $1 million loan from his dad, but they really feel he carries their torch.
They do. They feel very, very connected to him. And what I've tried to explain to people is that when he won the Republican Party nomination, he actually hijacked the base of the Democratic Party, which was a traditional blue-collar, union-based constituency, and he pulled them over, Savannah. And so I try to relate as to why he did that from my personal life experience. You know, just growing up in the neighborhood I grew up in where nobody in our neighborhood went to college. You know, my dad started out as an hourly worker. Yeah. You know, and so my story, I try to intersect with what's going on in America today and explain why the president got 63 million votes when a lot of pundits were not expecting it.
You're a big fan of the president. You, of course, had a kind of notorious 11-day reign as communications director.
Well, thank you for saying 11 days. You know, Chuck almost said 10 yesterday, and it hurt my feelings.
You want the 11th day. Let's count every minute.
So look, if you get hired on the 21st and you're fired on the 31st, but you work all those days, it is 11.
Your book is very colorful. In fact, I'm going to read you a quote, but I can't even do the whole thing. But you said, when my colleagues in finance ask me what it was like working in Washington, I tell them to imagine the worst, most maniacally ruthless person they ever worked with in business, the kind of guy who would screw you over, burn your house down, rob you blind if it meant he would get ahead. That person, I tell them, would be an Eagle Scout in Washington, D.C.
I didn't like Washington. I think that there's like a very dishonest group of people. I don't know if you saw the president on 60 Minutes the other night, but he thought like the real estate people here in New York were killers until he went down to Washington. He said that those people are like a bunch of babies, comparatively. It's just a very different environment down there.
You gave as good as you got, though. I mean, you got in trouble for giving a pretty tough interview that you thought was off the record, where you know, had some
I didn't give
words.
I didn't give as good as I got because I didn't really see it coming. You know, in many ways, very candid, I was naive to the process. I didn't understand the subterfuge and the backstabbing and the way people leaked on each other and stuff like that. It's totally fine, but I mean, it's the main...
but you did get in trouble for talking to a reporter to badmouth your colleagues.
Oh, okay, but hold on a second. I would have badmouthed that guy right to his face, so I don't think that's like a distinction. So the person I was talking about, he knew exactly how I felt about him. Yeah. So I'm not one of those guys that like says la-di-da nice things to somebody's face and then picks up a phone and calls somebody and says something differently. That goes on in Washington all the time. And Savannah, that's the main reason why the American people have a real strong distaste for Washington.
No question about it. You are still friends with the president. You're a fan of his.
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of the president's. I like the president a lot.
One of the things you wrote that surprised me was that you think he has a thick skin. And I thought of all the things you could say about the president, that's a surprising one, because he's always talking about how the media is not nice to him and everything seems to get under his skin. It seems like the exact opposite. Yeah, what am I missing?
So I'm really trying to relate that to people. I think he has a skin like an armadillo. What he doesn't like is when people are attacking him. He learned 40 or 50 years ago to hit back very hard.
But that's not a thick skin. A thick skin is like it rolls off me and I'll get on with my business, not take every insult and respond on Twitter.
So it's actually a thick skin in the following respect. He doesn't really care what you're saying about him.
Yeah.
He just feels if you're hitting him, he's going to punish you by hitting you back like 10 times harder.
Yeah.
And so if he cared what people said about him, there's no way he would be president. I mean, one of the things you learn about, particularly when you go through this grueling situation behind you here, when you go through this, you either recognize that you can take it or you can't take it. And so the president doesn't have a glass jaw. I think he has a very thick skin. Otherwise, he wouldn't be the president, frankly.
You're very straightforward in the book. You say where there are times you've disagreed with him. So I want to leave you with a question. You got to tell me the truth. Do you think the president has a problem telling the truth? Do you think he often lies or misleads knowingly?
Well, I mean, look,
and I have examples.
Okay, you can give the examples, but I mean, I think the best thing about him is that he gets the themes right. He is definitely saying things. Let me finish. Yeah. I'm not going to spin you. I don't.
Yeah. Okay. Don't spin me.
I don't need to spin you. Okay. You read the book very directly. I tell you what I like and dislike. He definitely has a reality distortion field around himself where he curves facts towards himself. And so,
well, that sounds like fancy talk for he's not telling the truth.
It's not fancy talk. It's just that's the truth. That's what he does. He's living in that bubble, and he has a tendency to, listen, my grandfather had a great line, why would you let the truth get in the way of a really good story, okay? And the president is a lot like that. I can see the frustration on your face.
Well, no, only because when you're talking about something that matters, the president, we have to trust his word.
Yeah, and I think that when he's serious and he's in super serious mode and he's not in, like, reality mode, when he's in super serious mode, I mean, you can see when he's speaking with great clarity, and you can also see when he's toggled on to, like, entertainment mode and he's trying to rally a crowd or he's trying to bring people towards him, he probably turns on the reality distortion field.
Yeah.
But I think if you're making the point that he tells some fibs, I think most people in Washington do. You know when a politician is lying, Savannah?
I know that one.
When their mouths are moving. Okay,
yes.
So that's what it's like.
So in your 11 days in Washington, you learned some of the good Washington sayings.
I got a PhD in how to get beaten up brutally in the press and survive. I'm sort of like Mayhem from the Allstate commercial, okay? I can take it.
Well, Anthony Scaramucci, thank you so much. The book is colorfully written. It's called Trump, the Blue Collar President. Go to today.com/shop if you want to check it out.